everybody. Before we have Craig start speaking, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what omnichannel is. Obviously, in the readings from this week, we talked quite a bit about omnichannel, but in case you are all behind and haven't had a chance to read it, or in case it wasn't clear enough, I thought I would just give you a little bit of an overview. So omnichannel is actually a relatively new term. I would say within the past 2 years, it's become a big buzzword in the fashion industry. And a lot of department stores and brands have been rushing to play catch up in order to really become more of an omni-channel business. And for a while, that really just meant merging teams, restructuring of inventory investments, and we weren't really quite sure what it was going to mean, but I think that's all becoming a lot clearer now. So just to give you some examples, I mean, I think for all of you, think about if you go to Club Monaco and Club Monaco's website and you buy something online and it arrives at your house and you decide that you want to exchange it for a different size. You just take it to the Club Monaco store and you try on the right size and you exchange it. There was a time not so long ago where that wasn't a possibility, where you bought something online, you returned it online, you bought something in stores, you returned it on stores. They were separate businesses. They were completely siloed channels within a brand's business. And it really was disruptive to the consumer. And the idea was, how do we make the consumer experience, how do we streamline it so that they're we're helping them with customer service, we're really enhancing their experience with our brand. And obviously, as social media has become more important, it's become more important for brands to really think about omnichannel, because they're seeing consumers are seeing brands in so many different places and so many different platforms, and there needs to be a real consistency in how brands are portraying themselves. So, just to give you some stats, right? 98% of Americans switch between devices within a given day. So if you think about this in terms of omnichannel, you need to make sure that you're having a streamlined experience, whether you're on your phone, you're on your computer, and then, of course, if you're going into a brand's cell phone stores. But we are, as Americans, as consumers, we are very mobile in terms of the devices that we're using. About 37% of consumers expect to be able to contact the same customer service representative regardless of which channel they're using. This is really, really tricky for brands, because they have to find a way to get information disseminated to a multitude of customer service touch points. And even if you're a brand like Rebecca Minkoff and you're selling your product to, let's say, Shopbop, you need to make sure that Shopbop has all the information about your brand and about your product, so that a consumer is having a really, really positive experience, whether it's at your own point of distribution or one of your customers' point of distribution. 47% of consumers expect to be able to return a purchase through a different channel than their purchase channel. So as I was saying earlier, you buy something online, you return it in store. You buy something online, you pick it up in store. All of these are really important services that brands have started to offer. And then, the omni-channel experience has a really high impact on customer retention. So brands that have a really strong omni-channel experience have a really positive customer retention rate. You can see here, 89% of consumers remain faithful, versus if you have a weak omni-channel experience, that drops down to 33%. So it's just becoming more and more important for you to have a loyal consumer. It means you need to be creating a really strong omni-channel experience. So it's a massive movement, and something that perhaps as consumers we take for granted, but for brands and department stores has been a real pain point, and they've been really rushing, as I said, to catch up and make sure that omnichannel is how they're thinking about their brand. And so whether that's, what does it feel like when you go into a store versus being on a brand's website, or, what does What does their Instagram page look like compared to their website? Really, really trying to streamline all of this and making sure that there is a consistent message and that consumers have an emotional connection to a brand based on all of these different platforms and points of distribution. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Craig, and he's going to talk to you about the work that has been done in Rebecca Minkoff's stores to give their consumer a really interesting and interactive experience.
Off today by giving you a little bit of background on me and how I got here, moving to history of brand, and talk a bit about who we are, environment, and so I am the vice president of development of Rebecca Minkoff. For us, that's all strategy, all partnerships, high-level HR and talent issues, intellectual property and legal, and then digital and e-com innovation as well. Basically, I sit cross-functionally across the company and help Rebecca and her brother Uri, who functions as our CEO, with any high-level initiative. My background is actually not fashion at all. I developed a practice helping high-profile public figures with technology partnerships. So I worked on the 2008 Obama campaign. I'm still a strategy advisor to the digital firm that represents the president. Has been doing some work for Hillary as well, and had worked with people like Lady Gaga, Simon Cowell, Oprah Winfrey on the strategic implementation of emerging technologies. So when I was doing that, I was hearing a lot about what Rebecca was doing in the social space, starting in about 2010, 2011. And around that time, I had a first meeting with Uri, and we talked about the fact that there was an opportunity for a brand to position itself in the nexus between the fashion and technology communities. So we started moving forward with the thesis that these communities would converge, and there would be significant opportunities for a fashion brand that was at the leading edge of creating digital experiences for the consumer. Now, Rebecca Minkoff, as you may know, is one of the fastest growing brands in the industry. At this point, we're sold in approximately 900 doors worldwide. We cater to primarily a millennial female consumer. And the reason why that's important is because we know that there are opportunities for, or we know that there are substantial opportunities for long-term brand loyalty when you have a designer who is of the same age and gender as her consumer. And so, what we have now is the largest global fashion label headed by a millennial female designer. And we have a brand audience that has come to expect innovative digital experiences from us. So even before Facebook, the brand, Rebecca in particular, was very, very active on fashion, talking directly to the consumer at a time when most designers really didn't spend a whole lot of time outside of the ivory tower and weren't really talking directly to their customer. And so as Facebook started coming up, the brand really saw this opportunity. Rebecca became very active on Facebook and pretty much on every other social platform that emerged in the next couple of years. So Rebecca was very early to engage with the consumer on Facebook, on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Instagram, on Snapchat. And we realized in 2014 when I joined that although I certainly had a background in social, and Uri and Rebecca were very, very early to social and building this brand, that something was changing. And specifically what we were seeing was the fact that as social media was becoming pay to play, it was becoming just another digital marketing channel for brands. And that we, as a relatively small brand that is still owned and controlled by its founders, we're going to have a hard time competing as those platforms were increasingly dominated by paid advertising from the larger and far more deep-pocketed brands that we sit alongside in the department stores. And so we saw not long after I joined, the organic reach on Facebook drop down to just about zero for every brand. And we started thinking, well, how is we take the momentum that we have built in the digital space and we turn it into something that is longer lasting? And we've done that primarily in three different areas. And I think what I'd say is, at this point, I'll probably just talk stream consciousness a little bit. So by all means, please feel free to ask questions. And I'm happy to interrupt at any point. That's to stop for a second and figure out how to see those questions. But we'd be happy to turn this into as much a dialogue as it is a lecture, if you will. I mentioned that there were probably 3 broad areas in which we have continued to innovate in the digital space. The first one is by looking for new platforms and new ways to engage with the consumer. Probably the most prominent of those in the past year has been virtual reality. So as you may know from the press, we filmed our February 2015 runway show in virtual reality before we really knew how, or before anyone knew how to effectively publish virtual reality content on the iOS platform. And we did that knowing that this was a transformative experience, the ability to sort of give a consumer a front row seat at a fashion row and allow them to look around in 360 degrees as if they were sitting in the front row. And we knew that because those experiences were so transformative and they were so profound for the viewer, that someone would eventually figure out how to publish this stuff on iOS. So we filmed a runway show in virtual reality, and really the response that we got was extraordinary. We partnered on that with Google. Google has put out something called the Google Cardboard platform, which is a very low-cost virtual reality headset that allows you to slide your cell phone in and see content in VR. And one of the reasons why we did that is that we believe that there are going to be enormous implications for both the retail and probably even more so the e-commerce environment for virtual reality and augmented reality shopping. We believe that we're not that far away, probably 5 years away, for you to be able to slip on a pair of sunglasses and look around if you're in a crowd and not only see people as they're in front of you, but also see more information on who they are, what they're wearing, where you might be able to get it. Already, we're seeing people create virtual reality experiences in store. We think we'll probably start seeing augmented reality experiences in store. And just by way of clarification, virtual reality is content that blocks out the world around you. Augmented reality is content that adds information to the world around you. So, for instance, you might look at a jacket through augmented reality glasses, and a little window would pop up and tell you, well, that was a Rebecca Minkoff jacket. It's from spring/summer 2016. It's available in 3 different colors, and it's available in your size at a store a half-mile away. And, we will undoubtedly see technologies like that in the next couple of years. One of the ways that we've tried to innovate or continue to innovate is to look for new platforms like that are just emerging, and to create experiences that bring our consumer to those platforms just a little bit early. Another way that we have tried to innovate is through the introduction of new products and new product categories. So we were one of the first brands to bring a fashion wearable down the runway. Not the first, but one of the first brands to make that wearable available to the public. And the reason why that was interesting is because we believe that there are enormous opportunities for fashion companies in the wearable market. At the end of the day, technology is something that you carry with you, but fashion is a different, and I would arguably say, more core part of your identity. And there is a role for fashion companies to play in designing technology products that consumers are comfortable integrating into their identity by wearing them on them as a statement of who they are and what their what their taste is, if you will. So we are talking with most of the major players in Silicon Valley about what the next generation of wearables will look like, operating under the assumption that while no one's ever going to be able to compete with Apple or with the products that they deliver, that's not really the opportunity out there. And if we can create compelling fashion products that integrate smart technologies and smart functionalities, that there's an opportunity to do something really interesting in the market. And an example of that that's more recent than our initial round of wearables would be our expansion into technology-enabled small leather goods. So we were approached by a couple of people in the finance sector about sponsoring shows, about partnerships, and what we started learning was that our consumer actually has a different relationship to credit cards than a consumer that comes before. So someone who is my age and who's got kids at home might have 3 or 4 credit cards, but what we're learning is that the average woman in her 20s, who is our core consumer, might have 1 or 2 cards, might go out with a card, her ID, her phone, and no cash. And so what we saw was that there was an opportunity to build an accessory that spoke to the way that our girl lived now. And so we looked at small leather goods, things like wallets or very small crossbody bags, which we've become known for, and we realized that if we could build charging functionality into that, if we could build phone case functionality into that, then there was a unique opportunity in the market. And I'm looking around the showroom that I'm in right now, realizing I didn't bring one of those products with me, but we had an enormous amount of success in building a wallet-sized product for our consumer that also integrated a phone case and that also integrated charging functionality that would give you 2 full charges on top of the one that was already in your phone. And so, the second way, I think, broadly speaking, that we have tried to innovate for the consumer has been through new products. The third thing I want to talk about, and what you see on your screen in front of you right now, is our retail stores. So throughout its history, Rebecca Minkoff has primarily been a brand that sold to wholesalers, department stores, and specialty stores, and had an e-commerce presence. So as our e-commerce presence started growing, we realized that there was an opportunity to expand into more of a direct-to-consumer relationship through opening our own retail stores. What we did is we partnered with a company called eBay. It was then called eBay, it's now called Magento Commerce, I should say. We partnered with a subsidiary of eBay that's called Magento to build interactive technology into each of our retail stores. So you heard a bit about the omni-channel environment, and I think that we probably have done as well as anyone in integrating technology into the stores to create a more omni e-commerce-like experience, and I'll talk about that in just a second. There are 2 ways in which we have really built technology into our stores. One is through the connected wall that you see in front of you. So when a consumer walks into one of our retail stores, what they'll see is a connected wall that's approximately 8 to 10 feet wide. Really what it is it is 3 giant touch screens mounted vertically. And on those screens, the consumer has the opportunity to, sorry, I'm just getting a call. So I just need to figure out how to shut that off and get back to you guys. Bear with me for just 1 second. You can see me trying to figure this out. Yeah, there we go. All right. So again, coming back to the connected wall, every consumer who walks in immediately walks past right when they enter what is essentially a giant iPad. It's about 10 feet wide. On that iPad, they can browse highlights from our current collection, items that Rebecca is particularly fond of at any particular moment in time, or items that might be appropriate given the location and the weather in the city that our retail store is located in. And then also, interestingly, they have the opportunity to add items directly into a fitting room, so they can see what's available in the store, add it directly into the fitting room without having to find it, or ask for a free beverage from our store associates. And the reason why we've done that is that the way that we confirm that purchase is by asking for a user's mobile phone number. And what it means is if you have given us your mobile phone number and 1 out of 3 people who walk into the store do that, then it gives us the opportunity to look at that against our e-commerce records and try to figure out what we know about you and what you like so that we can make it more likely that you see that when you're in our store. So for instance, if you've shared your number with me online and I know that you tend to purchase chunky jewelry from us, I'm going to make it more likely that you see that piece of jewelry or the piece of jewelry that works best with the items that you bring into the fitting room while you're still in the store. Again, I mentioned that one of the things that we enable someone to do is add items directly into the fitting room. And so without having to browse through the racks on the store, you can say that you want a motorcycle jacket, black and size 4. You can look at pictures from our e-commerce catalog. You can also look at user-generated content that incorporates that item and add the item directly into your fitting room. And not only that, but every item in each of our retail stores is RFID tagged. RFID is a low-power radio frequency system where basically what it means is if you have got an antenna in proximity to an RFID tag, that antenna will actually read that tag is in proximity and will know where it is. And so every one of our products is with a small RFID tag. So if you were to walk in a motorcycle jacket, a black handbag, and a white pair of pants into our store, each of those items, or into our fitting room, I should say, each of those items will actually show up in the dressing room mirror as if you were browsing an e-commerce catalog. And you could, through the dressing room mirror, which has actually got a touch screen behind it, you could browse images of those items, browse images of how those items have been styled both by Rebecca, but also by people who've created user-generated content with those items. You can see what other sizes and what other colors are available in the store, and you can actually request those additional items without having to leave the dressing room. And so what we've found is that there is an enormous opportunity that's been created by making it easier for consumers to request different sizes, different colors, and to see what other items in the store are available without ever having to leave the dressing room. So what we're finding is an extraordinarily high percentage of people who bring products into our dressing rooms actually convert into customers based on the ability to get exactly what they want when they want it. And that, at the end of the day, is really the core of omnichannel, which is that your consumer doesn't care if they're on your website, if they're on your mobile app, if they're in your store, or if they're shopping somewhere else. They just want what they want when they want it. They want things to look consistent across those platforms. And our ability to take our consumer, who is primarily a millennial female, through a journey that brings e-commerce-like experiences into the store has not only created a fantastic opportunity for us with regard to data analytics, because it gives us a picture of what people are walking around the store and what they're picking up and what they're trying on and leaving behind, but also is creating a great opportunity for the consumer to connect with the products that resonate with her. So with that, I feel like I've probably been talking for 10 or 15 minutes. And so what I will do is I'm going to try to open up the chat window and see if we've got any questions from the group.
So I don't see any specific questions in the chat window right now, Craig, but I actually have a question for you, which is how do you navigate the line between creepy and cool when it comes to customer information? In our week 1 homework, one of our questions to the students was, what are you most scared about in terms of the technology that's being implemented? And a lot of them said actually security of information. But at the same time, there's a convenience in having a brand know about your information. So how do you guys manage that balance so that you're giving the consumer what they want without taking too much information?
It's actually a fantastic question, and it's one that we wrestle with all the time. We found that if you create technology experience for your consumer that's seamless and just she'll follow you, or she will follow you for that ride. So the thing that really changed my perspective on the world was working on the 2008 Obama campaign and understanding the level of data that was available even back then to the campaign about the average person in the state, and then ultimately the average consumer as well, although I was looking at the side. So the truth is there's an extraordinary amount of data out there. And as we move into a virtual reality or an augmented reality world, the amount of data that's available to marketers is going to increase exponentially. But here's the thing. Our belief is that as long as we are continuing to add value to our consumer's life and to our consumer's experience, as long as we are creating an experience for her that's seamless and just works, and as long as we are being good stewards of the data that we are collecting, that she will continue to go down the path of further engagement with us. So, there are definitely technologies that we've looked at that we felt were not ready for prime time, if you will. We are becoming almost an innovation lab of sorts for large partners. We obviously have the eBay partnership. We have a large partnership with Intel. We have a lot of technology companies who have approached us, and we see things all the time that just don't feel ready. And one of the things we've become for is we have become known as good stewards of the concept car, if you will. And so companies that have developed innovative technology will, through the people we know, will request meetings with us, will get a meeting with us, and will say, look, here's what we've built, here's the concept car. Drive it around the track, tell us what you think, and know that we're going to take the best of your ideas and suggestions, and we're going to turn that into the product that we ultimately bring to market. So we're seeing the cutting edge of data analytics and data collection in the retail environment every day. And we're trying to be very, very careful to make sure that we don't go to the limit of what the technology will enable us to do, but rather focus on an area where we're actually providing value to the consumer first. We're enhancing her life first. And then as an ancillary benefit of that, we're collecting a little bit more data. That makes it that much more likely over long term that we can figure out what she wants when she wants it so that we can make it easier to get to her.
Sorry, Craig, this is Karen. I have a question for you too. So as you guys, are becoming leaders in the implementation of technology in your stores and your own e-commerce site, are you kind of a leading question, but are you finding that a level of disappointment with some of your wholesale partners in their ability to be modern in their application of technology and how they're servicing the consumer? Is anybody really winning when you think, because I know your business started off as being primarily wholesale, and so you were very dependent on these partners to shepherd your business through to the consumer. Is there anyone who's really winning in terms of wholesalers, department stores that's really doing a good job with technology at this stage that they're becoming your most important partner without revealing too much?
I mean, that also is a really good question. I think what we're seeing is that the department stores are beginning to face an existential threat as their audience, as their consumer ages. So one of the reasons why they have been so good to us is because we bring a younger consumer into the store. We've maintained very tight distribution with regard to our wholesale partners in our department stores. So in the United States, we work with Nordstrom, we work with Neiman Marcus, and then we work with Saks and Bloomingdale's as well, and that's it. In every international market that we're in, we tend to focus on either the number one or in some cases the number two department store chain in that international territory or region, and that's it. And so we're fortunate in that we don't have a sort of a million people to talk to, but the people that we're talking to all recognize that it's becoming increasingly hard to get a consumer in the door in the department store. They're not the gatekeepers that they once were, and they're actually doing some very interesting things. And so the truth is that a partner like Neiman Marcus, for example, is a better digital marketer than most of our competitor brands. And when we sit down with them, we see them thinking about ideas and opportunities in a more nuanced and strategic way than people that we would think of as our direct competitors, other fashion brands like ours. So, the truth is that we do think that there's a lot to learn on that side, but the reality is those guys are actually doing a pretty decent job. We're doing a fantastic job with e-commerce. So they're doing interesting things with technology in stores. Bloomingdale's doing some very interesting things with technology in the stores. We just saw that Macy's, which is not a partner of ours, has just built an innovation lab for emerging technologies in the basement of their flagship retail store in Herald Square, and we're all going to see that in a couple of days. So what I'd say is, because we're not direct competitors, there's a really interesting information flow between the brand, the fashion labels, and the department stores, and they're doing a pretty solid job. They have a tough job ahead of them because they've got an enormous amount of real estate that's very expensive, but they're actually doing pretty well.
Awesome. And then, I see one question from Laura. I'm not sure if you're going to see it because I think it's a private question, but Laura asked, is it better to be heavily engaged in 2 to 3 platforms or spread engagement through numerous platforms, 5 to 6? And Laura, if you want to speak up and add to that, please do.
By platforms, you mean social platforms?
Yes.
Okay, look, I think that different people have different opinions. You will see that the demographics of audiences on social platforms differ pretty wildly. Snapchat has got a very young demographic. It's great for our brand, but my consumer's not expecting a whole lot from me on Facebook anymore. because my girl's not using Facebook that much anymore. I mean, she's still checking in every day. But, it hasn't become the homepage that it was 5 or 6 years ago. So, from our perspective, I think we look at all of them closely. But, as sort of one of the leaders of the company, I can say, there are definitely platforms that I emphasize more than others. There are definitely ones that I pay attention to more than others. I think what we've seen is that Instagram has become a fantastic marketing tool for us and a fantastic marketing tool for brands like ours. And so we spend a lot of time making sure that we don't miss the mark with regard to our engagement with our fans on Instagram, because we do find that channel is so robust for us. So to give you an example, we were all, I can't remember what I was doing, but at some point over the weekend, I got a text message from Rebecca that Kylie Jenner had just posted an Instagram photo of herself working out in one of our items of apparel. And literally within 40 minutes, the picture had several 100,000 likes. I think it's now up over 1 million likes. And we looked at this and we were like, okay, like Kylie Jenner just got more likes for one of our items of athletic wear than we have Instagram followers. So we're going to repost that. And we did, and the comments that we got were so negative from our audience that we took it down, because it felt like they were being marketed to. And it was no longer Rebecca developing a relationship with them, but it was Rebecca marketing them. And so that post lasted on our Instagram page for 2 or 3 hours. We spent a lot of time kind of thinking about after the fact what that meant, in a way that we don't necessarily think as much or as long about a post on Facebook or a post on Twitter.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Craig, for taking the time to speak with the students today. I know they were all really, really excited to speak with you. Laura says she's really happy with that answer, so thank you.
So, hi, I'm Lucy Danziger. I met some of you back when I was the editor-in-chief of Self Magazine for 12 and a half years. And when I left there, I realized I wanted to keep the dialogue going with women and really talk to them about what they care about most. So I started a company called 22 Hints. And I'm joined here today with our marketing manager, who is Sophie Smith.
Hello, I joined 22 Hints from a background in Kate Spade, where I did international marketing. And with my background there, I found 22 Hints and realized the potential that it had as a platform, got in touch with Lucy and said, I need to be a part of this. So that is where I'm coming from.
All right, so I'm going to roll this table. I apologize. We're on a lazy Susan table here at WeWork, New York City, where we have an office. 22 Hints is your everyday registry. And what I'd love to do is just walk you through a deck that I sent over to our friends. And I hope that you can see this. Are they able to see our deck? And Julia, are they able to see the deck?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, what we wanted to do is create a platform where you could use it as your ultimate wish list. You can put up a Rebecca Minkoff bag, or you can put up tickets to your favorite sports team or music team or an experience, like let's go to Soul Cycle, anything you want for any occasion. So what quickly happened when that happened was we ended up with a social shopping platform, because people started sharing their favorite bag, their favorite trip. One of our early developers, a woman named Alex, who works for me itself, was going to India for her 30th birthday, and she wanted to be given an elephant ride. So you can literally put up anything from anywhere, and that is what makes this so unique. So we say that other brands promote by pushing content at the consumer. We flip the occasion. So 22 Hints says to the consumer, what do you want? You get to pull that item onto your list, and then you become an ambassador for that item, because you can only have 22 hints. So when somebody is gluten-free and they want a birthday, or they're celiac and they want a birthday cake, they'll promote the best one, and then suddenly everybody knows what that is because they know their friend has great taste. So whatever the taste level is, whatever you're pushing, your friend now knows that that hint means a lot to you because it's on your list. So your list becomes a little self-portrait. It's stuff, experiences, anything that you are loving right now. Maybe you're dreaming of Portofino, maybe you're dreaming of, man's spa day, whatever it is. But when you re-hint a hint, it becomes your social branded content. So we have partner hints, like Equinox is a partner, and so an Equinox membership might be what you really want for your birthday. Once you put that on your list, the partner hint label goes away and it becomes your hint. So we have every single category, and what's really fun about this is you may be shopping for your dad and you look for tech or gear or gadgets for him. You can't help but see some fashion items, some boots that catches your eye. And just like when you're walking through the store at Christmas, it's sort of two for them, one for me. That's how hinting works. So it's really fun for us because it becomes sort of a strategic way of asking this peer-to-peer sort of marketing to start with the consumer. She drives it out, but she also can't wait to share it because she has discovered something cool. Occasions come in all different shapes and sizes of 22 hints. It could be your pet's birthday, your first apartment, your graduation, you're running a marathon, you ditched the bad guy, Mr. Wrong, we call him. You're launching a business. Anybody wants to send me a hint, I have a hint list. Just because. So it used to be you only gave gifts at an occasion like holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, weddings, whatever. Now, anything's an occasion. 81% of gifting is outside of the traditional holidays. Graduation is coming on strong, and guys are getting into it. Guys are registering now at places like REI. So we're saying, we're flipping that on its head. We are starting by focusing on that millennial shopper. We know she's a super shopper who loves to cruise around online. What we like to say about technology is there is no human behavior. It's the same old shopping, the same old communicating. There's just new technology that makes it easier, and that's what we're about. So we've started in beta. We are 70% female, 30% male. We think that men are underserved in this area, and in fact, most of our users are millennials. They come to us directly, and they open our emails, they click through, they buy, they send 7.5-page views per session, which is what we did at Self. So anyway, we know Instagram has marketing in your feed. Nobody loves that. We know Pinterest has shoppable pins next to your board. We're actually shoppable in your board, which is what keeps the frustration low. Amazon, which has a lot of things, doesn't have puppies. My niece liked the idea of putting a puppy on her list. I said, you're never going to have a puppy. She doesn't care. She wants to see the puppy on her list. It just makes her happy to see a puppy. So whether you want to tell your friends, let's go to the Dream Hotel for a Saturday by the pool, or Soul Cycle, or puppies, we know that no one gets you like you. So Amazon or Pinterest might think they know you through all their algorithms, but the truth is you're a unique individual, and your list, your hints really reflect that. So I'm going to stop right now and just give you a chance to absorb and ask questions, and I'm going to turn it over to Sophie, who is in charge of marketing.
So as Lucy sort of hinted at, if you will, is that we are starting a new dialogue between brands and consumers. And one of the ways that that's happening is with these partner hints. And a brand can feature a partnered hint on the site, but as she said, once I see Kate Spade's partner hint on the site and add it onto my own list, Kate Spade's no longer promoting it on my site. I, Sophie, am promoting it. So that's where I become a brand ambassador, and we're really allowing consumers to become brand ambassadors. Another way that this really relates back to omnichannel, that is that we give shoppers a platform to maybe they're in store, because there's really something to be said for, touching a product, trying it on, feeling it. And if you are in Rebecca Minkoff's dressing room and you really love the leather jacket, you look great in it, you can't make the decision right now, or maybe, payday's in 2 weeks, you might take a dressing room selfie, and maybe you really want mom or dad to buy that to you. Rather than sending mom or dad the picture and saying, don't I look cute? Like, aren't you dying to get this for me? And then mom or dad has to find it, go online, go to the store. You can take the selfie in the store, upload the item to your hint list, put the picture of you wearing the jacket on your list, and share the list with mom and dad. All they have to do is one click, and they can buy it for you straight from Rebecca Minkoff's site. So we're really creating this new dialogue, this new channel for which brands and consumers can interact and shop. So any questions or anything?
Very tough. I haven't seen any new questions coming through. So I have a question for you guys. We're
Sure.
going into this Christmas season, which is huge for all of retailers.
Right.
And the way that marketing used to be done during the Christmas season it seems like it's definitely shifted. How can retailers utilize a platform like yours where you have to get the user to say, I want this item?
Right.
How can the brand actually say, if one of these students is starting a brand, how could they come on to 22 Hints and try to help promote?
That's such a great question. Well, so when we're on our site, I hope everybody right now is jumping on 22hints.com, because when you put something on your list and you tag it fashion, it goes to the fashion aggregator. So then the next person who comes up and looks at fashion, they see everything that's been hinted, right? So it's sort of a hint stream. So that's Hintspiration. So what we say to you is, if you have a brand and you create a list and you put your brand and you tag it, that's going to show up in those hint streams. And for me, I love fitness, so I look at fitness and gear and travel. I'm actually wearing a Tory Burch athleisure moment. We did a list all about athleisure this week that we promoted. Rebecca Minkoff is on there, Tori's on there, all the usual suspects. But what's really fun is, if you like one, you're going to like the other. So there's sort of a mindset. It's a personality-based list. And so what that means is a guy can just look at tech, gear, menswear, grooming, typically, unless you're shopping for a guy. Women might want to look at fashion, beauty, travel, home, food, whatever. So really what we're doing is we're saying the affinity, that mindset is what's going to bring you to that aggregator, and then you're going to discover what you want. So what I would say about, the whole peer-to-peer brand marketing is generally smart women and men both want to hear what their friends say because they're smart too. So if you can get on a friends list and you can get on that hint stream, you're going to be discovered by other people who've been brought to the site by their friends. It's all viral. So right now we're not even doing SEO. We're not buying, optimization spots. We're letting friends tell friends. So we started a campus initiative at a sorority, and we went to a bunch of sororities and said, look, sign up all your friends. We'll give, a donation to your charity and have fun with this. So it's starting to be this viral little, sort of targeted thing with a ripple effect. So all these women are signing up to see what other women are asking for Christmas. So if I were a brand, I would make a hint list right now. And if what you want to do is be featured on our homepage, that's a sponsored position, that's a promoted position. So we're cheap, come advertise. We're a launch, we're a pre-launch. But it's really fun. It's a whole new sort of social way of shopping through socially seeing what your friends are shopping for.
I know
Just to add to that, when a brand is making a list, they're not limited to just, if it's a handbag brand, they're not just limited to handbags. They can include, just like any user, where to go to brunch, tickets to a cool show. So they really get to have a lifestyle dialogue with their consumers, which is what so many brands are stretching themselves to achieve right now. And, if someone goes and looks at Rebecca Minkoff's list and they see, oh, well, Rebecca is recommending that I go see the Nutcracker this year, I'm going to do that as well. And then they go to they get the Nutcracker tickets for Christmas, and they automatically relate that back to where did that come from? It was Rebecca's recommendation, and that was such a great experience. So it's really a chance for brands to connect and market to their consumers on a lifestyle level beyond just product.
Yeah. So do you mind talking a bit more about your campus program? Because I know that we have I think we have some sorority girls on here.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm guessing that they would be interested in hearing a little bit more about the structure of that program and how they can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are looking for campus ambassadors, and we've sort of started slowly, school by school, and in the way that Facebook, when they launched, targeted one school at a time and really became the thing to do on each campus until the next campus was asking for it. That's kind of our strategy behind it. And we are looking for campus ambassadors who, the sorority program is basically to have a competition between sororities and having people sign up, and whoever gets the most sign-ups has a donation to their philanthropy. And we, want this to become something that, we have programs at Wake Forest, SMU, and Cornell currently, and have set up campus ambassadors at a few other schools. But we're looking to grow, and sorority and college girls are the way that we are taking our first foray into that space. Yeah. So if you are interested in being a campus ambassador, please send your resume to sophie@22hints.com.
Yeah, we'll forward along all the contact information.
All right, so I'm gonna wheel this in my direction just to say at Self, we had some really great, young, extremely talented interns who we grew from this kind of relationship into truly being an integral part of our editorial team. And one of the things that I really enjoy, because I'm certainly not our target demo, I'm the mom of the target demo, is we need to know sort of what's cool now, what's happening next. So we actually really value the young people on our team, and by becoming a campus ambassador, you join the team, we help you, we really mentor you, and we sort of open our Rolodexes and our offices to you. And one of the things I'm trying to do at WeWork, which is at Bryant Park, is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of Thanksgiving week, we are welcoming our campus ambassadors into our doors just to come meet us, tell us what's going on campus, how can we be smarter when we're talking with young women who are going to be our sort of focus of our, our early campaigning. And you know what, how can we help you in return? Because we really want to help grow this relationship and figure out a way to just, open up the doors to the next generation, because a lot of people helped me in my career, so I like to turn around and help women in their career. It really gives us great joy to do that. And I mean that. Lucy@22hints.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys. This has been an amazing class.